Good morning, good evening, and welcome to this week's live chat about live streaming. I wanted to talk about stream styles, and I realized, after the weekend, I had one idea what stream style I sort of meant in my brain, but then I realized it was that's such an ambiguous question because style is one of those words that just can mean anything. So that's going to be what we talk about today, and clarifying and maybe talking about a few different types of styles. So let me know if you are here in the chat, if you have made it live. I know that this week is a little different time-wise. I know that in the US, the time zone shifted in some places. I sort of was like, oh, what should I do here? Should I stream earlier so that it's the same time, or which I'll be really honest, that's very early for me on a Monday morning, and I'm just like, do I want to stream? Do I want to start that habit? And then I just thought, you know what, I can't do it. I'd have to get up really early so that I could be awake, and that meant like getting up before 6 a.m. and well, I don't want to do that. So I made the decision to just stream at 9 a.m. for me, which I know for some of you has pushed it back to be an hour later. So hopefully it's not too late for you. And, just let me know in the chat how it goes. We'll test out this new time zone, or not time zone, start time for you, and we'll see what happens there. So I'm noticing some comments coming in. So before the stream, we had live stream consultants popped in. So hello, I don't know if you're still here, but hello to you and thank you for jumping in. Good morning, Leanne's Craft Room. Great to see you here as well. And we have Russell. Does wearing a cowboy hat while you stream constitute a style? It does, yeah. So let's just jump in. So what I was thinking of format styles, right? I was thinking of format styles, and then I realized, no, it could be a visual style or a creative style. Doesn't have to be a format style. So I want to start with the visual style. So the visual styling can be anything from your colors to your branding, how if you have more than, well, your sitting arrangements. So if you watch Colin and Samir, you know that they sit in the same positions at the same table for their posts, for their blog, their podcasts. If you watch Rhett and Link, for the last, I don't know how many years, they've sat in the same positions at a table. The background around them has changed, but they've sat in the same positions. So having a look at what these sorts of visual styles are. So for me, a big part of it is all the colors. I like having the colors, the mixed confusion messaging of yarn crafting, which is what these tools here are. They're spindles for making yarn. To the technology side of things, which is, all the gear over here, up there. There's my teleprompter and my StreamYard stuff. So all those sorts of things. So they are technically your style. Like, they are a style. They're your visual style or your branding. So you can change it up. Now, I realized last week I didn't have this light on. And when I was watching back, I realized how dark it was. And that changed the feel. Now, it may not have negatively changed the feel. And I noticed nobody commented about it. So that was kind of cool too. And one good thing for me was I did have a bit of a headache last week. So that I probably didn't turn the light on because the light would have, exacerbated the headache. And then forgot to actually turn it on when the stream started. So, because I do sit here for a little bit, just tweaking and making sure I've got my notes and that everything's working how I want it to work. And so I don't always have all the lighting on, and then I must have just hit go live, without turning it on. But it didn't make a big difference. It didn't change the messaging. It didn't change how you guys felt about being here in the stream. So having a think about what you want your visual style to be, this does not have to be a no change, keep it this way forever situation. It doesn't. It doesn't at all. Over the 8 years of me streaming over on the Fiberific channel, the stream has changed. It has, so many things about it have changed. I went from having all the comments appearing down the side to getting rid of that and making more room and having craft on the screen. You can evolve and you can change. What you start now is not what has to be even in a month. You're allowed to change things. You're allowed to tweak things. You're allowed to set it, try it, decide you don't like it, and try again. You're not locked in forever. I'm just going to have a little look here. T-shirts seem essential. Yes, that's exactly right. So manufactured home living is joking about how I wear a lot of T-shirts. Justin Brown wears a lot of T-shirts. James Wedmore he wears button downs, doesn't he? I thought he wore button downs. Anyway, we'll see. And this was a decision. Like I'm not gonna lie. Me wearing T-shirts was an issue in my brain. Is that professional? Do I have nice enough T-shirts? Does it make me look less like, am I relatable? Am I less relatable? You know, like, because I'm streaming to LinkedIn and there's probably people on LinkedIn who are like, oh, gee, she's in a T-shirt. I can't take her seriously. You know, whereas there's people over here on YouTube that if you get too dressed up and too polished, it's just like, oh, she's trying too hard. And these are the things that go through my head. So I decided, for me, I'm going with comfort. So I live in T-shirts. I wear T-shirts all day long. It's Australia. We're in the middle of summer. This room has no air conditioning. It has a fan on the floor that I have to, you know, use it to suck air around a corner. It has no breeze. There's no way to cool this room down. It is quite literally an oven. And then in winter, this room gets really cold. So you'll probably see I'll be in hoodies or some sort of jumper to keep myself warm because this room will be just as cold as it is hot. So just, you know, I made my fashion styling decision based on my own personal level of comfort. I could have made sure, okay, yes, I'll be wearing a nice dress. I'll make sure it's always pressed. And these are decisions that you as an individual will need to make for your streams. So I decided I have way more T-shirts than anything else. I'm going with T-shirts. They're comfortable. They're tidy. And that was a big thing for me. I needed it to appear. My only goal was that it would be tidy. Okay. I didn't want it to be distracting. I don't want it to be messy. I don't like it when they're crunchy. I just needed it to be tidy. Now I know a lot of people my hair's being blown out by the fan that I've got blowing. I like black T-shirts. I like black clothes. I put out a meme the other day about, you know, if you want to wear a black outfit or you want to wear a colored outfit and the black outfit just came in and just knocked the others over. And that's my life. My wardrobe is like, which black thing will I wear? So when I wear a different color, I feel like even a dark gray, I'm like, ooh, changing it up. But you just need to decide what's going to work for you. If you're a tradie, are you going to get changed out of your PPE or are you going to keep it on because you're making tradie sort of content? You keep it on. It's part of who you are. You know, if you are a fashion, if you're talking about weekly fashion, maybe a T-shirt's not for you. Maybe you want to wear something more in line and in tune with your branding and what your audience is expecting and looking for. So I'm just going to keep going through here. I bet Russell, when you mentioned T-shirts, you didn't expect it to become a whole thing. So yeah, it's live stream consultants is here. Is driving home right now. Awesome. Jerry Papa Andrea, it's great to see you. My style is the style with nobody in the chat. For now, there's nobody in the chat. So your style is having a great opportunity to dial everything in before you have to deal with people. So not that I don't love you all in the chat. Like I do. I think I love having questions. I love having the interaction. But especially when you're very first learning live stream, chats can be distracting. They move. And so that movement out of the corner of my eye is like, what's that? You know, so I get like squirrel syndrome with the chat, and I love the chat, don't get me wrong. But when you're very first learning and you're trying to keep all the live streaming plates spinning in the air, maybe not having the chat visible or not having anyone in chat is actually a blessing in disguise. Jerry saying, you know, I'm joking. I didn't know you were joking. I didn't, but I'm glad that you are. because I think having someone in your chat is encouraging, especially as you've been doing it more. But when you're very first starting, not having anyone in the chat is actually not a bad thing. Good morning, Doug Houston. It's great to see you here. I hope you pulled up well after the weekend. It was a long night of live streams on Saturday night. So Doug's stream starts at about 10:30 p.m. my time. Then we move into Nick's, which starts at about midnight. Then StreamYard started at about 3 a.m. and went till, nearly 5 a.m. By the time I was like finished shutting down and ready for bed, the sun was coming up. So it was a long night. But now that the daylight savings has changed, we'll, kick it back an hour. So that'll be nice too. Tech for Your Needs, it's great to see you. Thank you for joining in. I've been watching Nick Nimmin for over a year, and it just hit me. He always wears a black T-shirt. Yeah. Sometimes it's a branded T-shirt. So sometimes he'll wear a StreamYard shirt. Sometimes he'll wear a TubeBuddy shirt. Sometimes he'll wear a Niminati shirt. But it's always a black shirt. Absolutely. StreamYard, Livestream Consultants likes a pullover, a polo shirt. So that's the shirt with the little collar. Sorry, I didn't mean to make that sound girly. I actually like polo shirts. But it is... it's definitely you sort of, when you start thinking about it, you don't realize something you've been doing is actually part of your visual style, part of your branding. Black is an easier color to light. Yes and no. Yes and no. I will say for myself, because I have a black chair, if I'm wearing black, I feel like sometimes I'm blending into it now because of how my office is and how my lighting situation is. I do have a little light up the top there for creating the, a little bit of delineation between me and my audience. But my audience, me and my chair and my background. But sometimes when I'm wearing black, I blend into the chair more. And I think it's going to depend on what you're doing and what you've got. If I had I used to have a smaller chair that you couldn't see, black T-shirt was awesome. Black on the bright color background was fantastic. So sometimes thinking about what you're wearing versus the room that you're in could also help to create that sort of distance between you and your background as well. So if you've got a darkly lit background and then you're wearing a dark shirt, you need to make sure you've got some lighting creating the shadow and the contrast of you versus the background. Is that 2 Scotch glasses on your shelf to use when all else fails? No, they're not Scotch glasses. They're tea light candle holders. And they're there to make the light look pretty. Seriously, it's all about the lighting. Let me just show you. So these little tea light holders, and see how the light looks without it. And see how the light looks with it. It just brings more blue up. So you don't have to do that. I had them. I didn't buy them specifically for this task. In my old setup, I had the tea lights. I've got little battery operated tea light candles, and I would put those in it, and they would be around the back on over this side down the arm of a couch that was there, and they looked wonderful. They looked very moody and very warm and inviting, and I had them. I have a serious question though. Why do so many go with headphones on? Now, this is a personal thing. Right now, I have some music playing in the background. I have no idea what the mix is like because I don't have my headphones on. So headphones are, I think if you have a guest, you must have headphones on. So when I am streaming with Doug, you'll see that we both have headphones on. We do not go without headphones if we have a guest, if we need to be able to hear each other without our microphones picking up the audio. Right now, I have no guest. I don't really need to hear anything. So I don't wear my headphones. What I will do is before my stream starts, I'll check my audio levels, and the music sounded fine then, but the song could have changed and it could have gotten louder or quieter or whatever. But it's one of these things where it's a visual representation. You can leave your headphones on. I've got no issues with that. If you have no guest, whatever, I don't care. If you want to leave your headphones on, leave them on. But if you want to take them off, you can. It is hot here. I will wear headphones when I need to, without even complaining. But if I don't have to wear them, I will take them off. And that's a personal preference. So that's another, you can't tell I have music on. There we go. Maybe it's just that little bit too quiet. Maybe it's not picking it up again. So we'll see. So it's a personal preference. It's a styling preference. So, especially if you've got like a logo or something like that, where you've got like little headphones, maybe wearing your headphones is a good idea. It creates you've got your silhouette of your illusion. It's a personal preference, but it's also a style preference. So unless you have a guest, then you need the headphones. They are glowing. They're glowing. The Scotch glasses are glowing. Now I'm going to look at them as Scotch glasses. I couldn't drink out of them. They're way too thick. As long as you don't look homeless and representable, you're good to go, because I've seen creators, I'm like, what is going on? That is true. That is absolutely true. I personally think I want to look a little bit put together, even in a t-shirt. And that's a personal preference. You need to make these decisions for yourself. I personally don't like being crunchy, or it looks like I haven't ironed my shirt. I just want to clarify, I never iron my shirts so that I do hang them so that they look like they've been cared for. So, it's one of these things where you just need to sit down and make these decisions for yourself. So let's have a look here. Often they wear them when they monitor their own audio or due to having guests on stream. Yep, absolutely. You can't tell I have the music on. I did just bump that up a little bit, so maybe you can let me know if you can hear that now. That'd be great. I wear headphones out of habit, audio feedback, etc. I could do my solo streams without it, but I might not hear the background levels and the stingers. See, I don't actually have any audio stingers set up, but I bought the Rodecaster Pro 2 back in November. Then it wasn't long after I got it that I had to close my space down because I had to put things in here. This is like the box room for the house as well. We had like all the family coming for Christmas. So I've sort of filled this room with stuff, which made it very hard to use the space. And then after Christmas, it was very busy in the house still, with my husband working from home for a while. But when I was finally getting ready to sort of start doing things, I got COVID, and it's a whole nother thing. So I actually haven't created any audio stingers for this channel yet. So it's something I definitely need to do. I'd love to have something for like when you guys send through a, oops. I just realized my phone made a big noise and it shouldn't have, because I've got it on Do Not Disturb. So I'd love to have some sort of sound available for when you guys send through like a buy me a coffee or something like that, or if something special happens, or like, once I am monetized and I can do super chats and things like that. I do want to set all that up, but I currently don't have any of it set up, which is probably why I don't wear headphones, because I don't need to hear it. So yeah. That's why t-shirts work. Is that because they don't look terrible, like without much care? That's why I wear them. I have my earbuds in when live. I enjoy monitoring my mic. Maybe I'm too uptight. No. You've got to do what makes you feel comfortable in your live streams. I've got visual monitoring happening, so I can see what's going on with my audio with a visual up and downy bar, right? So if you don't have that, you need to be able to hear it. Like you said, like you guys can't hear the music, which is really frustrating to me, because as far as I can see, it should be playing. Anyway, that's fine. It doesn't have to be there. It's just something that I like to have in the background for when I decide to have a drink or a sip or something. And that's the other thing. Like, we're talking about visual styles, but then there's a creative style. Okay, so the creative style is like your audio stingers. It is do you want to have some sort of sound that plays when you're pausing for a drink, so that nobody goes, "Oh my God, the streamer took a drink." Because apparently people complain about that. We've had that discussion. So making sure that all of that works for you as well. You've got your creative style. So I am going to take a drink. I've got coffee. This weekend, my favorite coffee cup died. It's very sad. This is my second favorite cup. I'd rather be chilling with my dog. My family get me these fun Christmas coffee cups every year, and they do crack me up. I do have a good time with my coffee cups. So Okay, so we've been chatting a lot about the visual style, about what you're wearing, a little bit about your lighting, about what it looks like. Look, I just want to clarify something here. I drink coffee out of my coffee cups. I would die if I drank that much coffee out of a StreamYard mug, honestly. I mean, my coffee's already cold. I should have put it in a Yeti, but I will drink water out of my StreamYard mug. The StreamYard mug is amazing. There he is up there. There he is up there. But it's too big for coffee. It's better for soup. It's better for soup. The problem with earbuds is one or more thing to worry about, making sure they're charged. Look, I'm going to be really honest, and I know Home Rapid Repair wears earbuds. I don't use anything wireless in my live streams. Making sure they're charged is one thing. Making sure there's no sort of distortion or what's the word I'm looking for? There's a word, my brain's quit on me, but basically where that something happens to the signal and it creates all sorts of nightmare. So Home Rapid Repair says his earbuds are wired. That's great. So delay is another thing. Absolutely, delay. They do create a delay from your audio when they're wireless. It can only just be a little tiny bit, but it can be enough that it can slow off a conversation. Okay. So interference, that was the word I was looking for. Interference. Doug's coming up with some great words, and all these things are legitimate as well. Delay, latency, but interference was the word I was looking for. Yeah, it's only milliseconds. That's right. It's only milliseconds of delay or latency, but it can make a difference. It can make a conversation feel like, you know, when you're watching the news and they've done a live cross to somewhere that it's not a great signal, and the person asks a question and there's a big empty space of time, and then they're like, I'll ask again, and then that person starts talking because it took that amount of time for them to hear and for it to start coming back. It's nowhere near that bad. But sometimes when you're using wireless headphones over wired headphones, it can be just that little, oops, I just about knocked over my drink of water. I thought, I'll bring my drinks closer this time so I'm not reaching it. No, that wasn't wise. So having the gear that gives you the better experience, and not just you, but your guests as well. So with your creative style, I'm thinking more along the lines of, and it is a little bit to do with the visual style as well. So with the branding, so making sure. There's a really weird sound happening out there. I'm just going to go and check it. It sounds like there's someone scratching on my screen door. So I'm just going to double check it, guys. It's stressing me out. I'll be back in a second. Come on. Sorry about that. Nothing scratching on my screen doors. Back neighbours are hedge trimming along the back fence. It just sounds very weird. So having your branding, your colours match for your creative style. Excuse me. Now, I do know that StreamYard does make some of that a little bit harder. You know, I love StreamYard, but there are some limitations, especially when it comes to branding and things like that. So see how here we've got, you know, I can't change the font of how things look. I can't bring in my own overlays. It's very difficult to create overlays on the fly or on the go. So you have to have everything pre-set up and pre-done. But in saying that, it also makes it super easy. You don't have to make any choices. It's like, do I like this one, or this one? Done. Pick one. Let me look here. Depending on the stream I'm on, I'll use headphones or wired in-ear monitor earbuds. Yeah, look, I have both. I have my stock standard headphones, which Funnily enough, I would choose whether or not I go for in-ear monitors versus headphones, depending on who I'm talking to. So if they are wearing in-ear monitors, I will wear in-ear monitors. If they're wearing something that's a little less, like if they're wearing wireless headphones, I'll wear my in-ear monitors. I'll try to match visually to my guest. I don't know if it's I don't know. It could be something from like my childhood where I tried to fit into all the different groups by changing my appearance and how I spoke and things like that. But that's what I do. And you don't have to do it. It's just something that I do. But I do have the options. I've got these guys here. I've just bought the Me, and they are, this is what they look like, all coiled up. I actually have an extension. So I've just got a little 3.5 mil earbud extension that I just attached to the end, just to give me some more space. Then these are in ear. So they sit flush and flat. They need a little clean. Whoops, show those on camera. And they sit totally flat within my ear, so you can barely see them. And they're really good. They're solid. These are really inexpensive version. In-ear monitors can be, if you buy like proper in-ear monitors like stage work, you're looking at thousands, but these are like $50. So these are very inexpensive. The ones that cost thousands are actually molded for your personal ear. So that's the difference. These are like off the shelf at Amazon versus custom made. Let's have a look. Oh, you love the 80s movie montage? Yeah, I like it. It made me, and when I made it, I actually discussed the theme, like the feel I was looking for as well. So I enjoyed that. Let me think. I've received my first mean comment from Australia. The guy started off by calling me a bloke, then got mean. I thought bloke meant friend. Doug Houston has taught me it means male. Yeah, blokes are just guys. It's just the bloke down the road. So the man down the road or the guy down the road. It's just a gender specific, thing. So it is, it's not, bloke is not derogatory in itself. But what they said afterward sounds like it did get derogatory. Bloke is like dude. It spans the nice to mean spectrum depending on how it's said. Yeah, I suppose I always say bloke just as a description of a male. I don't use it itself in a word. It is slang. It's slang. It's an Australian thing. So yeah. And I was about to actually just jump in and say, but a lot of people think Sheila is the female version of that. It's not. If you called me a Sheila, I would like punch you in the throat. Sheila is derogatory, whereas bloke isn't. So yeah. Which is weird because now Sheila is actually a girl's name as well. So I would not name my daughter Sheila. But he was leaving a mean personal comment. Oh, that's terrible. I'm sorry. Everything on the internet is like pretty much. Oh, hang on. Those are the same ones that I use. Yeah, they're great. Like look, the audio quality is not top quality, right? It's not. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not top quality, but it's seriously good enough. It's great. I have no issues with latency. I can hear just fine. They fit in. I've got little tiny ear things, so they fit in there fine. They give you a pile of, like, a huge pile of options for changing it so it fits better. It's for the money, it's fantastic, honestly. Hang on. After I checked his channel, I currently have 10 times more subscribers. Sometimes, like, I know it sounds harsh, but sometimes I do that. If someone's left me a mean comment, I want to find out, like, who they are, why they felt that they could do that. And some people like just mean comment block it, and I will do that as well. But sometimes I want to find out, like, okay, am I taking this as a mean comment when it could be taken another way? Because I instantly jump to the negative. Sorry about that, everybody. I really do. Instantly jump to the negative. And so I'm like, why is this person writing something mean about me? Have I done something bad? Like, I'm going to check out what they do. And you go and check out what they do. And then you're like, either A, they don't have a channel, or B, they're just getting started out. And you're just sort of like, really? That's the comments you're leaving for people when you're trying to get your footing in an industry? Wow. Okay. Let me think. Leanne says the music just kicked in. All right, cool. Glad it's working at least. Yeah, Karen's another derogatory. Unfortunately, the Karen thing got worse during COVID. Like, I've got friends called Karen, and I'd never considered it a bad name. But now it's not great. I thought Chad was the mean equivalent for Karen for the males. I could be wrong. Not me, wave goodbye, never look back, they're off the channel. And see, this is the thing. I will go and look at who they are, then I will block them. They do get blocked. Like, if they write mean stuff that's not like, and this is the thing, like total sidebar here. Hello, welcome to Chantelle's stream. If it's constructive criticism, and even if it's tonally deaf, I'll probably leave it. But if it's just mean or cruel, it's gone. It's gone. On YouTube, I've seen men referred to as male Karens in some sort. Oh, like literally saying it's a boy Karen. Yeah, okay. There you go. All right, so we've chatted about visual style. We're partway through talking about our creative style. So the creative style is a little it's fluid, and it mixes with the visual style, and it'll mix with your format style as well. And it's kind of like what happens when you mix your visual style and your format style, and that's your creative style. That's what you get when you mix the both of them. I probably should have left creative style for the end, maybe. So I do want to jump into format style. So format styles is like this is my format, where it's usually my face sitting in this chair with this stuff in the background, running through. I start with saying what the stream's going to be about, then I jump straight into the chat, have a little look at what's going on in there, and then jump to a point, talk about the point for a little while, have a look in the chat, and then go into the next point. Sometimes I get sidetracked by the chat. That's just my style. Not everybody gets sidetracked by some people are very good at just not seeing the chat. I'm not that person. So I've made my format style match my personality so that streaming is not too hard. Because if you make your streaming style, your format style, where you are being somebody you're not for that whole time while you're live, oh my God, I can't even imagine the amount of energy you'll use just trying to keep that happening for the whole time. This is a version of myself. Like, obviously it's a framed version of myself. There are things that I don't share. There's things that I don't talk about. There is imagery that you don't see. You can't see that just over here, there's this table with all my cricket stuff on it. That's just chaos. It looks all neat and put together, which is what I want you to see. It is the framed version of me, but my personality is still inherently me. If you met me in real life, I don't think there would be too much of a culture shock. I would probably swear more. That's probably about it. And I may have other topics that I would talk about. But what I'm thinking about with our format styling is the format of the stream. How like your run sheet. Do you have a run sheet? Are you running through our regular segments? Doug has his format that he uses, where he will go through the stream. He'll jump on, he'll talk with the chat for a while, then he'll broach his topic of the stream, then he'll jump in and continuously checking in with the chat the whole while, but then he'll talk about upcoming streams where he's previously made graphics to show that. Then he will also have his last call graphics. So with your format and your run sheet, you've got the opportunity to pre-make any kind of I'm looking for a word again, brain is not giving it to me word, but any of your graphics that you need or any titling that you need, there's one word that would cover the lot of it. Can't think of it. Anyway, So it's definitely, you've got the opportunity to get in and get some of that stuff pre-made so that you can utilize it for your run sheets. So having like, I don't have a run sheet. Does that shock you? Does that shock everybody here that I don't have a run sheet? I do have notes. I always have like points that I want to make, so that I can look down and try and get myself back on, target. It doesn't always work that way, but I don't have it like, show this graphic, do this, do this. And if you need that, then put those in. Absolutely. My brain nearly gave me the word I was looking for. Anyway, so you bring in all of that sort of things, and it's just and it's, Doug's just said here, he uses his run of shows in his head unless it's a very specific guest or stream. So I have a pre-stream checklist that I use, and I used to try and do it with, in my head kind of situation. And I realized I would miss things. I would forget to run a speed test just for a live stream and then be like, oh my God, my stream is a mess. So I actually have a physical copy of my run sheet that I check off. Funnily enough, it's not in here. It's out on the dining table. I left it out there when I had to run my cable because my internet wasn't as good as I would have liked. So because of that, I need the physical in my face sort of situation. Now, I personally am a big fan of print it out and laminate it and then just write in what you need for that particular day. I don't do that for these. I just use a notepad and handwrite them down. If you are happy to use your digital thing like your iPad, if you have a script that you want to use, all of these things work. Okay, so if you've got a teleprompter with your live streaming script, they work. If that's what you need to make it work for you, then you do it. I need notes that will bring me back on topic because I am terrible for going off topic. And that's not a bad thing, like once we're in the Q&A sort of area a bit towards the end. But when I've got the bit that I want to like share, then it makes it harder for me. So I like to have my notes, but that may not work for you. So you need to work out what format and style works for you. Sometimes that means running through a few different things. So for a little while, your streams might not have a standard format. While you're testing out and working out what works for you, what works for your audience. We've said this in previous streams. You need to be testing and trialing and seeing what works for you and your audience. Now, sometimes what works for your audience doesn't work for you, and you need to make that decision. Okay, am I going to go with what the audience wants, or is it something that's a real sort of like big issue for me, so I need to go with what I want? Which is like, I had to make the decision, do I start my stream an hour earlier to match the time zone that you guys are used to, or do I start at the time I usually start at to suit me and my calendar? If I started an hour earlier, I would have people running around the house getting ready for work, on their way out the door, doors slamming, gates, it would be chaos here. So I've decided that I am hoping that you guys are okay with coming in an hour later. We'll see, we're going to see. Jerry and Cheryl, Cruise Adventures, great to see you. Thank you for jumping in. Sometimes that level of prep can be a barrier to getting going. Absolutely, it can be. You need to decide what works for you. I personally don't make all my assets. That's the word, assets. Oh, thank you, brain, for finally giving me the word after how many minutes. I don't always make digital assets. If I've got a special guest coming and I've got something specific that I want to bring on screen, sure, I'll make sure that that's ready. But usually I don't have specific assets ready. Today, I made a little pre-stream roll of like my thumbnail and some music just to have that roll while I made sure that it was working in all the places. So that was as far as I do. So depending on the kind of streams you're doing, you don't need to make any assets. So you just jump on and you get started and you just do it and you talk. That's not a bad thing. It's just a different way to do it. It could be your style. And this is the thing. You need to work out what works for you and what's your style. If that level of prep will stop you from doing it, don't do that level of prep. Do something else. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't let what one streamer does stop you from running your streams that could be different, but just as enjoyable for your audience. just starting, 100%, just starting is more important than perfect. I am in team 80-20. I totally believe that 80%, like you just need to do 80% of the work, right? It is, you don't need it to be schmicko and perfect and dialed in and everything has to be like 100%. I'm not in that camp. I'm like, can you hear me? Can you see me? That's it. I don't need to have everything perfect. The audio does not have to be perfect. It has to be usable. Like it can't be distracting, but it doesn't have to be perfect, right? And this is the thing. There's a difference between getting it perfect and untenable. So for me, if I was trying to make something perfect, like I know sometimes the audio sync is out and that might bug some of you. I can't let it bug me or I wouldn't stream. Because sometimes something happens and I haven't changed anything at all on my end. And sometimes something will play out. I can't let those things stop me. Otherwise, I will stop. I will lose my momentum. So having things good enough is enough, which is why it's taken how many streams for me to actually make a pre-stream roll that worked. So I actually went in and rather than just throw the thumbnail up and have an audio thing and then have the audio thing keep playing because I forgot to turn it off, I connected them. I actually used Adobe Express. I wanted to try it out. I've been trying out some of the Adobe Express features, not a sponsor, but it's been really fun. I made this week's thumbnail, I made it using my phone in the new Adobe Express beta app. I had to go and find the beta app. It wasn't just something else in the standard app. I had to go and find the beta app and use that. And then I just made a video just by throwing the thumbnail in and some Creator Mix music under it. Sort of like the same way I made the Be Right Back screen that I've got, except in that one I used Premiere Pro. This one I just used Adobe Express. Something to be said for simple mobile stream if circumstances dictate. When I'm out and about and I go to a craft show or something like that and I want to live stream it to my Fiberific audience, it's on my phone. There's no bells and whistles. You'd be lucky if I even use StreamYard. I will just use the native YouTube app or Instagram app or Facebook app and just go live. There's no bells and whistles because of what I'm streaming is what they're there for. It's they don't need the bells and whistles. You times confuse me. One day you're a month ahead and the next an hour behind. Thanks, Russell. I put a post in a group that Russell and I are in, and I forgot. Like for some reason, my brain thought I was in April. I went in and checked it, and I was just like, "Oh my god!" I had to reword the post to make it, not a month ahead. So thanks for pointing that out for me. Otherwise, I would have left it and would have looked like a ding dong. I need to make you buy me a coffee asset you can play when you get one and send you a link to it. Oh, so I've got one set up, which actually I got a really great video from the Amazing Yacht Destinations, right? And he was like, you should do this in OBS. And so I don't use OBS. Like, I mean, I have done and I used it for years, but I actually use Ecamm. So I went through and created the browser, the browser overlay in Ecamm. I can't use browser overlays here in StreamYard. So not yet. They keep hinting that something is coming, but we haven't seen it. How long have they been hinting at like dark mode? Like really? Like, dude, dark mode needs to be a priority. I was really hoping. I put out a Twitter poll, and I was really hoping it would gain some traction so that StreamYard would see people actually really do want it, and it's not just a couple of loud people in the live streams. That it is actually the majority of the audience. But true to my Twitter, it died on the vine, so I couldn't do anything with it. So yeah, come on, StreamYard. But like, I wouldn't say no to assets that I could use in StreamYard. I mean, that'd be cool fun. I can make assets. I just have to sit down and do it. I've had over the last month COVID brain. I've got like COVID fog. So I'm now no longer COVID-y, which is great, which I'm very happy for, but I wish my brain would kick back in and let me create some stuff. So yeah. So it's a lot of fun. So now, because like, what have I got here? So So what I'll do is live stream consultants. I have a Stream Deck. I have a Rodecaster Pro 2, and I prefer to use StreamYard. So if there's something we can do to line all that up together, I would happily get involved. Or not all three, but just that's what I've got. That's what I'm using. So that would be great. The StreamYard found a stream on Sunday night. You should invite them to come on and hear about features you'd like to see. I actually mod for their stream, so I get to talk to them in there. So that's pretty cool. It would be amazing. Wouldn't it be amazing if we could get Gage or Dan onto this stream? But I don't know if that could ever happen. We'll see. Oh my God, I never knew what time it is in Australia. I always assume Doug and Chantelle are the complete opposite of it. My night is their morning. Yeah, that's basically it. So for right now, it's 9:46 a.m. on Monday morning for me right now in Brisbane, Australia. That's the other thing. Not all, like the US, not all states of Australia are on the same time zones. So I am in Australian Eastern Standard Time. So yeah. Look, you know what, Russell, you're right. And I nearly had some Friday night, and then I was feeling a little flat. So I don't drink when I'm feeling like that. So even one drink. So it's one of those things. But you're right, and I will try that. And I do have some very nice scotch that will solve the problem, I think. I'd either solve it or make it worse. They're my options. Okay. So let me know here in the chat if you do you use a run sheet? Do you have it doesn't have to be like a formal run sheet or notes or something. Do you have something visible or visual that you use to remind you to do different things at different times in your stream? Let me know in the chat if you use something. It doesn't have to be a proper like run sheet, but do you use something to help you with that in your streams? Let's have a look here. It's 5:46 p.m. So I'm assuming Sunday in New Mexico. 7:46 Eastern. There you go. So tech for your needs and home rapid repair are both Eastern. There we go. Good to know. And then, like while you guys are thinking about that, have a little think about, is this time zone working for you? Do I really need to somehow stream an hour earlier to make it a more suitable time for you? Or is this going to work? I really want it to work, but I also understand it may not. Let's have a look here. I draft a Google Keep note when I have something important I want to hit. Yep, awesome. So far, I have a topic I cover. Often I'm using screen share photos to keep me on topic. Awesome. So you've made some assets ready to use. Yes, I use an overview of what I want to cover in the stream. Fantastic. I use bullet points when I'm talking about a specific topic. So for those of you that are using some of this stuff, do you go in and pre-make any assets? So like if you're using bullet points, do you have it like appear on the stream on the side somewhere here as a visual bullet point as well? Or is it just, my bullet points sorts of things that just keep me going, like I've got my bullet points listed out. So right here, I've got visual style and then some offshoots of the visual style. I've got creative style and some offshoots of creative style and format style and offshoots of format style. That's all I've written down. Because, and I'll tell you why I keep mine to a minimum. I want to answer your questions. And if I've got too much I want to cover, I feel guilty that I haven't answered your questions in the stream. So I try to cover as much as I can while also incorporating you into it as well, because you're here. And I know that sometimes makes it a little trickier for those people that are watching on a replay. I get that, but this is the trade-off. If you can't make it live, this is what happens. So let's have a look here. Oh, you have your bullet points on an iPad. Yep, cool. So they're visually for you, they're not for the audience. Okay, that's cool. I use a cross between bullet points and script lines on my screen in a program called Scrivener, used by authors to write books. I use it for scripting. Okay, awesome. I found that like I've got a teleprompter and it used to be on the camera the whole time. And I found that when I tried to do that, it was really obvious when I was reading versus when I was just talking. So I found that for me, and it took practice and trialing and testing for me to work out, you know what, it's probably not worth having that there for me. So I keep it for other things. Some things I do want to just talk the script. So, different things, different projects. Sometimes mine is as simple as having photos in order that I'm screen sharing. I once tried a Google slideshow to load them into StreamYard. That was way too much work. Yeah, and if it slows you down, if it stops your process and it makes you go, do I actually want to stream? Then you need to scale it back and work out what the middle ground. I have it on paper, but if I need screen assets, I prep ahead of time that are topical to the points I want to cover. Yeah, and so making sure, like over on the Fiberific channel, we have a game show where I roll dice to work out which project I'm going to work on. This little trolley gets filled with like 6 or 7 projects. I have an 8-sided dice, so we go from there. And so I've got screen graphics that I make up with the names of all the projects. So when the dice are rolled, people decide. There's also an option where they get to vote. So it's not just the dice. If I roll an 8, they get to vote. So I've got to go and make sure that my straw poll is set up with the names of all the projects that they want to be able to vote for, and I have all those set up. And I've definitely got to use Ecamm for that one. There's a lot of toing and froing between screen shares and multiple camera angles, and so it is. It's just really, you have to decide what you need for your visual, what you want to work. So it's just one of those things. You've got to decide. You've got to test and trial different things. So on the Fiberific channel, it's actually usually my testing ground for these things. The amazing community over there kind of know it, and I would hazard a guess that aside from people who watch YouTube education live streams and channels, my audience, the Fiberifians, are probably the most up to date with YouTube news than any other non-YouTube education channel there is, because I can't help but talk about the things I'm passionate about, right? So I like yarn, I like coffee, and I like YouTube and YouTube live streaming, right? So over there we do talk about different things, and so they get the advantage of, like, there were ladies, like, and some of the ladies in the chat are on the older side. And so there were ladies who shared their YouTube channel with their partners or with their children. And I discussed how the YouTube suggestion works, because I didn't understand why they kept being shown farming or tractor videos when they had no interest. And that was their husband's jam, and they didn't want to see that. And I'm like, well, you share a YouTube channel, right? Of course they're going to try and show you that. They don't know it's you watching versus your husband watching. You're logged in as your joint account. They're free. Make your own. Don't share it. So, yeah. So, like, little things like that. So I'm like, I suppose my brain as well, whereas this may not be you, I'm all about educating the people that are around me, right? My husband, who hated YouTube, did not understand my obsession with it, is now a huge YouTube fan and has a Nebula subscription so that he can get in and support the creators that he loves to watch better, doing it a different way. And he understands why I'm like talking about this stuff all the time now. It only took him 10 years, but he's there now. Okay. I tried the slides in StreamYard, no pointer, yuck. So screen share via OBS to StreamYard. Yeah. Look, there's definitely pros and cons to StreamYard, right? StreamYard's goal, one of their goals is ease of use. So bringing in some of this like stuff that we want is slightly more advanced than what StreamYard's looking for. They want to make it as simple as sit down in your seat, turn your camera on, turn on your microphone, and you're ready to stream. They want to make it that simple for the majority of their audience. Not everybody wants to be showing slides. Not everybody wants to have multiple camera overlays and be able to bring in screens, like overlays that only take up half the screen. So there's still, you know what I mean? Like, there's lots of different ways to do these things. The advantage of there being options. So you've got StreamYard. And like you bring OBS into StreamYard. I quite often bring Ecamm into StreamYard because I want the flexibility of Ecamm, but there's parts of StreamYard that I just love too much to just do it natively in Ecamm. So and sometimes I'll be like, look, I'm just going to do it in Ecamm, you know, and there's pros and cons to both. So you need to decide what works for you and what makes you happy. What the visual, like, because that's more your visual style, your creative style that you're leaning into there. You need to work out, and this is the next thing. Ready? Is your visual or creative process or style actually taking away or adding to the content that you're doing? Is it creating an atmosphere of this is too busy, I can't concentrate? I know that there are some people over on my Fiberific channel who will not watch once a month I run a productivity live stream over there. I haven't for the last couple of months. It's starting back up next week, where I literally have music kicking off. So creator mix playing and I'm just working. I still talk, but not to the same extent. Nowhere near the same extent. It is about getting stuff done. And I will every now and again go, hey, how are you going? Have you gotten that thing finished? At the start of the conversation, I will ask everyone what it is their plan is. I will ask them, like, what are you working on? What's the goal for today? For some people, it's folding a huge pile of family washing and they just need to get it done. So the music is actually what they need. And then just the occasional reminder to keep going. We've got this. We're going to do it together. I've got one lady in there who's very much ADHD and she calls it body doubling. She loves it. It's like having a friend in the house, encouraging her to keep going without having a friend in the house, you know? Whereas there's some other people who come in, they hate the music. They find it so distracting. They don't like the music, or it's the music style or the music volume or the music thing. They don't like it. And for them, that doesn't work for them at all. So they're out, they're gone. And that was a decision I had to make. Okay. This is what I want to do. Is what I want to do really that selfish? Is it so selfish that I want to make this content where I'm talking less, but I want to be here for the community? And if they've got a question, I answer. I do keep an eye on the chat. So, you know, it's just really like, it's low key. It's just about the time together. It's about, you know, like quite often, as an example, and I'm going to use crafting again as the example. Are you ready? I'll have friends over and we will literally put a movie on the TV and we will all sit around crafting, watching the movie. We'll barely talk to each other. We'll say hi, you know, we'll say hi and everything. We'll be like laughing to, you know, it's like watching movies with friends. It's great. But we'll sit there crafting while we do it. It's definitely like that, where it's just you're doing something together but not really interacting heaps together. And that's how I think of movies and television. It's like you're watching it together. It's a shared experience, but there's not a ton of interaction. And some people don't like that. Some people do like that. And I ran a poll in my community to find out if it was a majority liked or didn't like. So many people that were not available for my other live streams loved that I was doing this because it was on Australian Saturday. So those people that worked the Monday 9 to 5, they could actually join in. So I decided to keep doing it, even though some of the regulars were not that impressed. So I had to make the decision, is this format going to turn people off? Now, so that means that over there I run 2 different formats of streams throughout a month. The productivity streams only run once a month. The live streams run every Thursday. So you just need to sit down and have a think and have a decide. Is it working for you? Is it working for your community? Sometimes you have to decide, even if something really doesn't work for you, is it like, how much better does the community love it? So it's one of those things, like, how much is it worth you going that extra mile? Like for me, pulling my streams an hour forward, I can do it if we need to. It won't be ideal for me, which is why I chose 9 a.m. in the first place. I always forget time zones. I should have made it 10 so that I could, you know, anyway. Let's have a look. I do OBS virtual cam into StreamYard so I can control the visuals the way I want them to appear on screen. Yeah, absolutely. And I get that because I do it with Ecamm. Ease of use equals a car has forward, reverse, and if you're lucky, a horn. Yeah, Absolutely. And if you just need to get up the road, then that's all you need. That's all you need. Somewhere to put your groceries and then come home. Don't even need the horn, lol. True. You don't. You can just yell. Time zones are always a bit tricky to negotiate. They really are. They really are. I 100% agree with you. Especially like, I think, you're in Australia as well. So, from Australia, we're pretty lucky. We can negotiate between Australia and the US or Australia and the UK. Can't often do both at the same time. You really got to pick, do you want the European audience or the sort of US audience? And you kind of got to choose. You can, like, I could stream at 7:00 at night. That would suit a UK audience heaps better than it would suit a US audience. Learn live streaming with John Lacey says, so many things happen at 2 a.m. Sydney time, and frankly, I need my sleep. Yeah, Doug and I were discussing that the other night. We were talking about how there's a lot of streams that we would like to get involved in, but it's 2 a.m., and it's hard. So we have streams. Well, I have streams that I've decided I will be at this stream. So for me, it's usually a Friday, Saturday night situation. If there's a stream starting late on a Friday night, I can swing that because I want to try and sleep late on Saturdays, get a few things done, and then have a nap Saturday afternoon to be ready with energy for all the Saturday night streaming. So Nick Nimmons starting at 9 a.m. Eastern he was starting at midnight for me. So that's now 11, which is great. Thank you, time zones, for shifting. So, and then, the Dee and Daniel show was starting at my 3 a.m. And, it's not always awesome, but I wanted to be there for those. So that was a decision that I made. So it was a personal choice. Let's have a look here. I own one of those. The golf buggy. Yep. More features than StreamYard, but I can understand the attraction to something simple. There's a lot of people that don't need all the bells and whistles. They just don't. For their streams, they just don't need it. They just need this. Camera, microphone, go. If you can bring on some comments, sweet as, bro. But it's just how different people need a different format, which is why we're having this discussion about creative styles. Because depending on your creative style, depending on what it is you want to send out to the world, you need to look at different tools. You'll need to either not use StreamYard or use StreamYard Virtual Cam and utilize something like OBS or Ecamm or something else that can allow more visual sort of changes. Now, StreamYard are constantly adding to it. Like right now, let me see. No, do I have it? I made one, but is it gone? There it is. There we go. I can have my little moving layout in the background. They've made it so, and you can make your own, you can choose things up, but it's not always easy to find them and switch to them and things like that. So whereas with Ecamm has a Stream Deck plugin, so it's super easy. It actually brings up a screen grab of what you're changing to on the Stream Deck button. It's great. But you just have to decide, do you need that level or not? Do you want to be able to have more, are you someone who needs browser overlays? Like there are people who need a browser overlay. Then they need to be bringing in a virtual camera or utilizing a different system. There's things that you have to decide. What do you need for your visual style or your creative style? What do you need for that? And then backtrack it like, okay, I want to have, this over here, that over there, doing this, And so if you've got all of these different things and you can't create them in one overlay, then you can't use StreamYard or you can't use only StreamYard. So backtracking it, like nutting out what it is that you need and then going from there. Look, Doug, I agree with you. I need browser overlays. I need them so much. Because it's just frustrating that I just can't go and do some of the things. I'm just checking. I just can't do some of the things that I want to do because I want the browser overlays, right? but it comes down to what is it do you need for your stream? And then is there wants versus needs? Is there something that would be cool to have, but you don't have to have? Like you've got to decide these things. And when you're getting started, less is better. You got enough plates you're keeping in the air. You don't need everything. Let me look here. That's what I do now, but multi-camera interests me, and so maybe Ecamm. You can do multi-camera on OBS. That's where I started doing it. I had multiple cameras in OBS, so you don't need Ecamm for multi-camera. And if you're not on a Mac, then Ecamm is not available for you anyway. Ecamm is Mac only. It's not even available for iPads or iOS devices. It is Mac computer only. Complexity is not for everyone, and I'd rather newbies start simply than be overwhelmed and give up. I 100% agree with that statement. Yes, I need dark mode on StreamYard. I do. I wear glasses, right? I have glasses. Having something bright and white, I mean, I've got an angle, like my screen is angled to try and diminish it as much as possible. But the glare hits your glasses, right? And I can't read the comments without my glasses. Like all my monitors, they're all on articulated arms, so I can bring them in nice and close. So if I'm just doing something here and I'm not streaming, so I don't need to keep this gap, like there's a gap here, there's a monitor there and there's a monitor there. If I don't need to keep the gap, I've got like this screen and it's like right here, all right? Like maybe there. I don't need my glasses for that. So, you know, it's definitely, it's like, if I'm streaming and I want to read, I need my glasses. So I need to make sure my lights are up and angled so that I don't here we go. You can see my big softbox there if I do that. But if I tilt my face down, you can't see it. I'm like, can you see that one at all? I don't know. But yeah, like I've got it set up so they don't reflect on my glasses. StreamYard reflects on my glasses, and that's something that actually bugs me. It bugs me a lot. Like I've got no choice. I have to wear glasses, right? So I want dark mode. Anyway, I have a big whinge. I want dark mode StreamYard. I'll have to look to see if Stream Deck has the hotkeys for StreamYard's uploaded overlays. It does not. No. You can set up hotkeys. That's it. You can create Stream Deck buttons for StreamYard keyboard shortcuts, but the browser window needs focus when you press the buttons. Yeah, there's no real great integration between StreamYard and Stream Decks yet. Ecamm's definitely got the points on that one. Yeah, Ecamm is Mac only, so yeah. And they are not looking at expanding outside of Mac. They are Mac only. I'm glad that the Melon app has dark mode feature. That's the app I use for live streaming. I used to use StreamYard. Yeah, EV Mux, the second it came out, there's a little toggle, boop, you can just make it dark mode. It's really simple. But yeah, it's definitely, there's softwares out there that have it. There's some that don't. I like StreamYard, even though it doesn't have dark. So, yeah, dark mode is much better to eliminate glass glare for sure. You bought specialty glasses to work around it? Yeah, I don't. I already have to buy 3 sets of glasses. I'm not going to buy a 4th. And I do have anti-glare glasses, but they're not anti-reflection. They're anti-glare, so it stops glare from coming in my eye holes. It doesn't stop light from reflecting off the outside of the glasses. That might be a difference in wording between Australia and the US. I'm not sure, but in Australia, anti-glare glasses don't stop them reflecting. It stops the glare from coming in your eyes. And I've got an eye condition where bright lights actually cause me pain, funnily enough. Yay! Just have lights right here. Yeah. But yeah, so, you know, you've got to sit down and make these decisions. You've got to decide if they're going to work for you. You've got to see what works for your workflow, see what works for your audience. And then over time, you can tweak things and change it up. You don't have to start with what you're going to go along with. And I know that, like, for myself, when I'm setting up new processes of things, I'm like, right, I want to start with what I'm going along with, but when it comes to learning anything new, that's not my attitude. If it's something I've got nailed, so something I'm comfortable with, like live streaming, I'm very comfortable with live streaming, I'm happy to tweak that up and go, right, this is what we're going with. But when it comes to live streaming, when it comes to YouTube, if you get too set in your ways, you're going to be left behind. You need to be able to adjust and adapt comfortably, because it's just how it works. Live streaming, like I've live streamed a lot of times over the past 10 years. Like I don't even know how many times, but a lot of times. And it is fluid. You have to be able to just go with the flow. If you can't, you will drown. Like if we're going to use a nice ocean analogy, the rip will take you. If you can't just float and go with the rip and you try to swim against the rip, bye. It was nice knowing you. But yeah, so let's have a look here. Let's have a look. Right, I have anti-glare when working, so the blue light blocking, and then another pair that are very low reflection. Okay, so you do have the two separate pairs. I like the folks to see my eyes in videos. Me too, which is why my anti-glare are my sunglasses and driving glasses and not these. So I just get the light just piercing into my brain. Yeah, I'm gonna have a drink of water. My bubbly water of preference. So yeah, I think that if you're going to have your face on camera, you need to make the effort if you wear glasses. So this is a personal preference. This is my personal styling preference. I have to wear glasses. There's no that's not an issue. I have to wear my glasses while I'm streaming. The issue comes down to, do I want light reflecting off my glasses? Do I want the big squares of or my pet peeve is people who use a ring light. Okay. They use a ring light, and if you wear glasses, that's just a no from me, unless you're like going for some specific cool like 80s kind of neon look. Aside from that, ring light and glasses where the ring light is in front of your face is a no. If you utilize your ring light like any other light, which is have it up and tilted down, that's fine. I've no issues. But if you've got directly in front of your face, any single light source directly in front of your face when you wear glasses, that's a no. Because that's all that people can see is the reflection of the lights off your glasses. I was watching an Instagram story. Oh, no, it was an Instagram video. They'd gone live and I was watching a replay of a famous actor he streams live when he's signing, when he's doing up, like he's got to go to a convention or something. So he's got to pre-sign a pile of posters. And he live streams that and just chats while he's doing it. Ring light on his glasses. And I'm just like, oh my God. Smacking, like, seriously, can someone not tell this guy? He's just move it to the side and angle it. You get anyway. Ring lights and glasses, or any single. I particularly hate ring lights. I actually don't like ring lights at all. I think even without glasses, it's a pet peeve. I have one somewhere. My daughter bought one for something, and she's like, "Here, I don't want it anymore," and just shoved it into my office. It's. And so I thought maybe I'm just biased. Maybe because I just dislike the look. So I tried it. No, I definitely hate it. Definitely don't like it. If you are going to be using ring lights, they need to be off to the side. They need to be treated just like any other light. It's just a light source. If you have it in your face, and this what live streaming with John has said here is exactly my problem. Even if you don't have glasses, the ring of light that appears within your eyeball is off-putting. Some people think it looks great. I find it off-putting. Could be the amount of sci-fi I watch. It's off-putting. So it isn't. And so for me, the likelihood of me ever using a ring light in front of my face is very low. there would have to be some serious levels of I don't get to choose, or I couldn't move it, or like there would have to be some of that going on for that to happen. Otherwise, I just felt like, let's just move that over here, push it up and angle it down. I had Doug is saying, pass on the ring light for me. Livestream consultant says, I agree, ring lights are unnatural lighting. Yeah. So it looks like if I ran a poll in here, is a ring lights a yes or no for you? Please let me know. So Doug's already said no. And I think that unless you're going for a particular look, then it's a no. Especially if the look you're going for is anything other than otherworldly. So I understand why the ring lights were created. I get it. There are a lot of, especially beauty industry creators, needed to be able to have their camera near their face because they like doing makeup or something like that, where they needed to be able to see everything nice and up close, and they needed good lighting for it. I think you can get better lighting with a couple of lights, and then there's no weird reflections. There's no weird non-shadows, like unrealistic shadowing. I think that there's other ways to do it. I also think a good ring light is expensive, so you're better off buying 2 square lights or rectangular lights and setting those up. You can buy cheap ring lights. You can buy cheap anything, but you get what you pay for to a degree. There are some inexpensive things that are great. Like I like the newer brand, Neewer. I like Small Rig. I think they're both great. Not a fan of Elgato's lighting. I find that only way to control it with the Stream Deck or with voice command is off-putting. Sometimes our internet is painful here, and I just want to be able to like flick it off or flick it on if that's my choice. You know what I mean? So, but other than that, it's fine. Let me have a look here. We've got no from Livestream Consultants, no from Florida Manufactured Home Living. That's a no from Doug Hewson. Yeah, so there's a no from a few of us. So I'm just going to have a quick check here. I know that if you're watching from LinkedIn and you are commenting, I'm very sorry, because I know that it's not always it doesn't always work. Like the comments don't always come across. So I'm very sorry about that. It's an issue. It's actually an issue from LinkedIn that they don't always send the data for the comments over during the live stream. So if you are commenting over on LinkedIn, then maybe jump into YouTube or Twitter if you want me to see your comments. So did I help you clarify anything about your style, about your streaming style? Did I make you think about what it is you're actually doing versus what you want to do? Let me know in the chat if you've got any questions. Like just drop them in. I definitely would love to know. I operate the Elgato key light from my phone because the way they are operated via Wi-Fi. Yeah, yep, I get that. I like to have a hard switch. I like to be able to just so all my lights I can operate via Wi-Fi, except for that one. That one I can't. But I like a hard switch as well. So I like it all. Doug Hewson says, oh, testing is over on LinkedIn. Thank you, Doug. Thank you. And it came through, and it did come through. So that's great to know as well. I know that there was a stream where Andrew Ken was over in there commenting, and I got every second of his comments. Where are the Yetis? They're fine. They're clean. They're not in dishwasher prison. I just forgot to use the Yeti this morning. I was actually hoping that I'd have this coffee finished before the stream started. It didn't work out that way. It's finished now. And it was cold, but it was fine. So Doug's testing a second one. That's still going, so that's good. Maybe it's been fixed. I know that StreamYard has been really trying to get Instagram to solve the issue. So yeah. So making, I do sometimes feel especially with those of you that make it to the live, I do feel sometimes I am preaching to the choir. about different things, and that's cool too, because it's nice for me to know that I know there are some things that I talk about, and how I do it is not the same way that other other live streamers do things, and I get that. But sometimes it's also nice to know that it is the same. Let's have a look here. I built a 12-foot 12, is that foot or inch? I don't know. 12-inch studio lights that I control via She Who Shall Not Be Named, which is why I named mine Ziggy. 12-inch studio lights. But yes, I think it's very handy having extra ways to control your lighting. I do have one that I either need to buy at a special power pack or connect it to a Wi-Fi controlled power board, which is some of the lights that I have are not actually controllable by Wi-Fi, but I have a Wi-Fi controllable power board. So as long as I can turn them on the light, like this, I'm pointing here because this softbox does it, I can switch it on and it stays on, but then I turned off at the power board level, then that works. This one over here, it's a little push button jobby. If I turn it off at the power board, that works, but then when I go to turn it back on again, I actually still have to reach behind it and press its little button. I use a total of 11 lights when I'm filming green screen. Okay, so yeah, like when you're filming green screen, you've got to film the talent or yourself, as well as you've got to you've got to light yourself as well as you've got to light the green screen. Otherwise there's no separation and it's harder to not get weirdo green lines. Oh, I understand. Okay. All right. So it's a 12-inch via that, named that, so it doesn't accidentally get triggered by saying her name. Yeah. I definitely get it. It was the size that was confused me. I'm like, is that one the inch, or is that one the, because we don't, like, inches and feet aren't really a big thing here. We use centimeters and meters. So I'm like, is the one thingy the foot, or is the two thingy the foot? I didn't know. I didn't know. But yes, thank you for writing the word. I really do appreciate that. I do try to learn all the differences between Australia and the US. I'm not good at it. I think if I ever make it to the US, no matter how much I've tried to pre-prepare myself, because that's what I do, I try to pre-prepare myself for any situation. It's a personality flaw. I think I'm still going to hit culture shock when I go. But I was going to say something. I'll have a drink. Yeah. So I call mine the G machine when I'm talking about it, so that it doesn't get, activated. But I have a lot of mine controlled that way. Yeah. So yeah, so it's but yeah, same deal. So I've got to make the decision. Like, I like these lights, these little, they're really great little lights. I don't know how big. I'd say maybe 10 inches. I don't think they're quite I could get a ruler and check. They're the little Yungyo 300 Air. They're really, really great little lights. I've had them for ages. I've actually got two of them. I've only got one set up right now. When it dies, I will replace it with something that I can Wi-Fi control. But it's not dead yet. It's working fine. There's no issues. Except for the fact that it is a light that I have to actually go in and, physically switch on. So sometimes I forget to switch it on straight away. Oh, yep, that's your wake word. It's not the wisest choice on occasion. Yeah, and I get why, because it's very Star Trek. It's very Star Trek. But yeah, I also get why not always the wisest choice. I've had the G machine get activated by just people talking about it in a YouTube video when I didn't have headphones on, and I'm just like, be quiet. I'm gonna have to rewind it now and rewind it back to just before or just after where they said that word, so that I can, you know, and I've considered changing it, but it's not just me who would have to adjust to changing it. It's like, because we've got a whole set up through the house. So yeah, it's definitely one of those things. Oh, Russell, are you thinking about going to social media marketing world? I know that Serena, who is a mutual friend of ours, she absolutely loves it, and she's been trying to get me to go for the last couple of years. It's just the airfares from Australia to the US. They skunk me every time. Yeah, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Like I'm looking at airfares to Vid Summit, and it's $4,500 just for the airfares. That's not including accommodation. It's not including the ticket to Vid Summit. Nothing. That's just literally getting me from Brisbane to Dallas. And it's just a lot. It's just a lot. Maybe next year Justin might be back to. Yeah, Justin definitely had FOMO this year, didn't he? But yeah, like next March. It's March again next year, right? For social media marketing. Well, it's usually March. So there's a couple of events that happen. We don't get a lot of events in Australia, right? So I went to one last week, which was a bit different. I left feeling not very good, if that makes any sense. So it was just like, I don't think I'll go back to any of those ones. And it wasn't like anything they did. I mean, actually, there was one thing they did at the event, right? There's one thing they did at the event which really did bug me, and I'm going to say it. If you get me to an event, right, don't make me sit in alphabetical order next to strangers I don't know. I found myself a great seat where I could see really well. I was comfortable. I had someone I knew on one side. I was on the aisle, so I didn't like. I've got a personal space issue problem. So I didn't have, there was the person next to me was a friend. So I was like, okay, I've got this. I just get comfortable. And then they're like, okay, so everybody can get to know each other. I want in each row, everybody needs to stand up and stand in alphabetical order and get to know the person next to them by finding out this particular fact. And I just was like, okay, fine. So I've gone to do it. And they're like, okay, everybody sit down now. And I'm like, I have to stay here? And so for the entire talk, I could feel myself getting more and more stressed out and just like, I'm trying, like, this is a thing, all right? I try to make myself smaller, right? So I literally compress my arms in to squish my own rib cage, which is so dumb, and hold my arms and pull everything in. So by the end of the talk, which went for like an hour or an hour and a half, I was in actual physical pain. And it's not a conscious thing. It's just something like, I do it on planes too, which is going to be really awkward on a really long flight. Anywhere where I feel like I could be touching another person. I don't like to encroach on other people's space. I don't like other people encroaching on my space. So any situation where I may be forced to touch somebody, if it's somebody I know, it's less stressful. If it's somebody I don't know, and my brain instantly goes, they're thinking mean things about me. They probably don't care, whatever. But that's where my brain goes. So I just don't like those. That's it, forced bonding activities. And what was really awkward is the guy that I was next to, he worked for another creator. So he didn't have his own channel. He didn't have, so none of the things that we were supposed to find out about each other to the person to your left were relevant. Like, he was sitting with his team. He was just as uncomfortable as I was. And we bonded over the fact that we were both uncomfortable. But yeah, it was just one of those things. That's a big see you later. Yeah. As an introvert, I'm still socially distancing pretty hard. Me too. Yeah, agreed. There's none of that BS at Vid Summit. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad to hear that. Be like, if I find myself a nice seat on the edge of an aisle next to somebody I know, or I can wiggle the seat over just so it's a little bit further away, I'm there. But yeah, I hate forced bonding activities. They really bug me. Look, I've no qualms with a whole like social activity thing where you need to move around a space and find out a fact about everybody, but then you can move back to where you are comfortable. That's okay. Like, I can deal with that. But that's where I was sitting for the rest of the night in the middle of two people I did not know, who they knew each other. So they, like I was just like, oh, this is not good. And I'm trying to like take in the information from the night, and I'm trying to just, and so I was having this battle within myself, like, it's okay, it's only going to be for a little bit, you just got to get through this. So I was missing stuff. So yeah, anyway. That's the other thing, because of where I was sitting, I was second row from the front. So if I stood up to leave, it would be like it was free event, so there's no refunding. But yeah, I was just like, oh my God. I got home later that night and I was just so exhausted. I actually slept I had all these plans for getting some stuff done on the Wednesday. I slept nearly the entire day. It was just this total drain like situation. But yeah, it was so weird. Anyway, don't invite me to events that make me do that. I will probably never attend it again. Just in fear that it might do it again. I guess you got what you paid for. Yeah, it was one of those. But, I loved getting to see some of the people that I did know. There was a couple of really cool people that I met that I really enjoyed talking to. Couple of people that I thought would be nicer that weren't. It's like anything when you go and meet people in like a large situation like that. But yeah, definitely that's a no-go. That's a no-go for me when they make you sit next to particular people. I already find it stressful enough eating in like at restaurants where everyone has to sit at a table together, and it's just like they've got a lot of people sitting at a slightly too small table. I already feel that, even if it's people I know. So yeah. I'm a people watcher, so I've been standing at the back against the wall to watch everyone else. Yeah, if I could stand for that long, that's probably what I would do. But yeah, I can't. I do need a seat. So yeah, and because I came with a friend who's really extroverted, she was like really like wanted to sit right at the front, and I'm just like, okay, but can we sit over, like the console, like the sort of the middle ground was at the end of the row rather than sitting in the middle of the row. And then I end up right in the middle anyway. So it's like, oh, this is hard. Peopling is hard. But yeah, we don't get very many events in Australia for creators. And so when there is one, I jump at it. I'm not always able to go. They quite often have them limited to a minimum number of subscribers, and I don't hit that minimum on either of my channels. And so I actually didn't think I'd be allowed to this one, but I applied anyway and somehow ended up being able to go. So that was bizarre, but I was there. Most people there had 100,000 plus subs, so it was very hard to I felt very out of my element. So, but that was part of it as well. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I need to push out of my element. But yeah, it was an interesting event. The actual content of the event was great, for the most part. But yeah, it's like in the US, you guys have all of the like VidCon, Vid Summits. There's a whole pile of different little creator events that run, like ClamorCon and what's the other one that I don't even know if it's Dan Courier was running it. Is that one still running? But there's lots of different little things going on. In Australia, we don't get any of them. So we did have VidCon for a little while. We had it for 3 years. I went all 3 years. I was like, I am not missing that. And it was fun. I met some fantastic creators who are now friends and have been for a long time. People of Video, that's the one that Dan Courier runs. Yes. Does that still run? I didn't see it run last year. So, but yeah, so over here, I don't really have the option of events. So, whereas like you guys in the US have, like, I know the US is a big country. Australia's a big country as well. But trying to, just trying to navigate how to get there is really hard. What I need is a sponsor who will sponsor me to go to the event and just pay for it. Then I would go, because it's purely a funding issue. So, yeah, that would be cool. We'll see how that goes. Oh, you think you know which that event is now? You possibly do. I would rather, here we go. I would rather go to an event that has creators that has less than 1,000 subs, as they, to me, are more interesting to me. I like having a mix, personally. I think it's great. Yeah, Doug, that's what we need. I like having a mix. Look, this is the thing. I don't like it when something is limited by your subscriber account. Full stop. I don't like that access to tools is limited. I don't like the access to events is limited. I don't like that is stopping people from getting involved. Some people work better when they can be around people of higher stature so that they can strive for that. Some people work better around people that are at the same level so they can work together. I like being able to have a mix of all of these things. But at this event, it felt very much like I didn't belong. Like, that's how I felt. No one made me feel that way. I made myself feel that way. I get that. That's an internal brain thing. But it was just, I just think that there should be more events open, like, full stop. And not just like in Australia, we were having some get-togethers from creators, and it was just to sit and eat. And it ended up being mostly like young people who do vlogs or skits or something like that. And I don't really relate. I don't do any of that kind of content. Also, I'm old. So I couldn't really relate on that level. But I think that having gatherings of creators where there's a speaker, like where you can learn something, I think they're really important to have, especially considering the YouTube landscape is constantly changing. And then also, as a bonus, have, time where you can socialize and connect with other creators. Bougie and elitist. That's how it felt. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And if anyone can hook me up with this sponsorship deal, I would be in. I don't know how. I mean, maybe I can review an economy seat to Dallas. I don't know. I would do that. Let's have a look here. Maybe BBD Live next year. That would be an amazing event. I could see you at that. Like, I don't think that one's for me, but I could definitely see you at that one. You're not old, Chantelle. You're a youngster in the grand scheme of things. Well, I appreciate you saying that, for sure. I really do. That's why Vid Summit is so cool. Multi-million sub creators, right through to people who haven't even started yet. See, that's the thing. That's what I love, is the people who haven't even started yet, that are inspired enough to go to this conference. It's an energy that everyone matches. It's not an arbitrary number. So, yeah, Tech for Need says that the reason they haven't attended Vid Summit is the cost. Yeah, I think it's, I understand why they have the cost where they do. I do get that. I don't think it should be a cheap event. I understand why they have the cost where they do. But at the same time, I would like the cost to get to the event to not be so much. Yeah, you can second that. Yeah, but yeah, it's just, I don't know, like, it's one of those things. If you're still here, like, I know we've been running really long, and I really appreciate that you're here. Have you attended any creator events? And if you have, let me know which ones. So yeah, it's and I don't want to diminish like the cost of events. Like, they are expensive. It is a I don't want to use the term luxury because I think luxury is different. This is an industry event and you're in the industry, right? I just think that travel costs are just so high. I haven't been to an in-person event since YouTube Australia launched and had a party at Fox Studios 16 years ago. Oh, wow. Okay. So I didn't go to that one, but I did do the vid summits, not vid summits, the vid cons down in Melbourne. They were expensive, but doable because I had different income at the time. Now I don't have any of that income. So yeah. I haven't been able, but likely next year or the end of this one. That is awesome. That's so cool. I would seriously, if the end of this year is doable for you, I would definitely be looking into Vid Summit and going and having a look at that. Hello from public holiday. Is it a public holiday in Victoria today? I did not know that. Wow. Yeah, cost prohibitive. Yes, absolutely. Cost prohibitive. And I'm very excited that there is another airline that's going to be doing the direct Australia to Dallas, like from Brisbane. So that should bring the cost down, but not for this year. That'll do it for next year. Yes, so you've done Spin Up, which is a drone conference that is put on by Kelly Shores, who runs the Ready Set Drone YouTube channel. Been to all of them. That we were allowed to go to due to the pandemic. Yeah, and that was another issue as well. Like, I know that, events now is different. But yeah, that sounds fun, especially if you're right into drones. That sounds like a ton of fun. I'm just trying to think if I've been to any yarn crafter events. I've been to yarn craft events, but not yarn craft creator events, so they probably don't count. The only thing I've attended was when one creator did a meetup in my city. Okay. I'm glad you went. Did you have fun? I've never been to one of those ones like that, the meetups. But I think that would be fun. As long as it's a creator that you think is cool. We just had, what's his name? Spanian? I don't know who he is. I'm sorry, internet. But he came to a suburb not too far from mine, and apparently it created chaos and like police had to come and it was just a mess. So I'm like, okay. There you go. Watch the recordings from Vid Summit. It's not my mainstreams. I think social media marketing is closer. Possibly. It might be a better fit. I think the BBD events would be a way better fit for sure. But maybe social media marketing is closer. I haven't watched any of the replays for social media marketing world, so I don't really know. Oh, good point. StreamYard stream starting in 18 minutes. Maybe one day when I hit 1,000 subscribers on this channel, I could just roll us over to StreamYard. But I can't do that right now because YouTube have an arbitrary 1,000 subscriber limit on redirects. So thanks for that, YouTube. Hang on, there's a question here. Do you know any other creators in your local geographic area? Yes, I do. I know Doug. We've gone out for coffee. I've hung out with Justin Brown, had lunch and coffees and just regular hanging out. Do I know anyone else locally? A couple, but not well. Like, I will happily organize hangouts with Doug and Justin and a couple of others, but mostly I don't. So, oh, you did have fun at that meetup. That's good. Livestream says, got to meet the creators from 0 subs to silver play buttons. Great time socializing with all of them. The drone community is very different from others. Yeah, it's definitely. And Russell, you're right. Lots of yarn craft creators. I do. I have some friends who have yarn craft, but they're not like most of them aren't in Brisbane. They're not local creators. Like, I'm thinking in the same state. So a lot of the ones that I like to hang out and see, they're all in New South Wales and Victoria. So I have to travel to see them. I'm just thinking of those that I can just go and have a coffee or lunch or something. I did, yes. I did sing karaoke with Hank Green many years ago. He would not remember it, I don't think, but I remember it. It was an amazing experience for me. I wouldn't say that we get to hang out like ever again since. Maybe the karaoke had something to do with that. But yeah, that was a VidCon down in Melbourne. I was so lucky to be included in a small group that got to go off and hang out and have some drinks and do karaoke, and it was amazing. It was because I was a friend of a friend. That's why I got to go. So I'm just so grateful that I got included. But I'm thinking more of people that I get to see and I can just organize a coffee with or hang out with. There is actually a couple of creators in Brisbane who are trying to organize something, like there's a little group of us and it kind of just keeps being paused, but that would be fun too. Small groups small groups with space between chairs. Oh dear. So yeah, I think on that note, I think that I think I'm going to go. Yeah, because I've got to go and get ready for StreamYard. I've got to go and mod over there. So I need to change my screens here and run around. Oh, I have met Nick Nimmin. I met him at Vid Summit as well. Nick and Dee and Andrew Can. Not Vid Summit. Why do I keep saying Vid Summit? It's because I'm obsessed with Vid Summit. VidCon, Melbourne. When they came to Australia, I met them there. Yeah, that would be funny. But yeah, so it is. It's one of those. I've met a few creators over the years, but not ones that I get to hang out with regularly locally. So, yeah. On that note, everybody, I'm going over to StreamYard. I'm going to jump straight over there. I'll be in the chat. So have an awesome day. Have an awesome week. Think about your stream style and what you want it to be versus what it is, and see what steps you need to take to make those changes. And I'll catch you next time. Bye now.